Attack her! Destroy her now!
Ooh, a puppy! Come on, little puppy! Fetch! Fetch!
The Puppy. The short-lived Nickelodeon cartoon Making Fiends, in addition to its few full-length episodes aired on TV, had a few internet shorts that were each about 30 seconds in length, available through the TurboNick service on Nickelodeon's website. In episode 26, I talked about the last of those internet shorts to be considered lost, entitled The Puppy, which only had about 10 seconds of viewable footage in very low quality with no audio at the time. But it has recently been found, meaning that all the promotional shorts are considered found. And The Puppy is so short, it basically consists of one punchline, which is why I was able to show it in its entirety before this segment.
You can't be dead!
Forget Weekend at Bernie's.
This way! No, this way! No, this way!
And check out a drop-dead funny Duresta at its new time, next on UPN.
Duresta. In another late 90s UPN sitcom that no one cared enough to watch, the titular stand-up comedian Johnny Duresta acts as a transit cop, who has to deal with the difficulties of his job, as well as the difficulties of dealing with his family. The show wasn't very well liked in its time, being one of the lowest rated shows, and one that critics and audiences collectively were pretty apathetic about. And predictably, this has resulted in its lost status. All of the 15 episodes produced and aired are lost, even though a YouTube user did upload the first episode to his channel. That upload did not survive, and no re-uploads have happened, aside from some promos and maybe a clip here or there. Mighty Atom. Based on the manga series Astro Boy, which was eventually turned into an iconic media franchise, the Mighty Atom series lasted from 1959 to 1960. This means that it actually predates the 1963 Astro Boy anime series by a few years. There isn't a lot of information available about this, even though it is a rare example of a manga adaptation in live action before an animated adaptation was made. Some of the episodes are available to watch on YouTube if you're curious, and there was a DVD release that excluded 5 episodes. Those 5 episodes are lost. "101% Whiz Bang." In the fall of 1999, this was an obscure block that aired on Nickelodeon. It starred the characters Henry and June from the Nickelodeon show Kablam, which was basically a sketch comedy show that was animated. Think like an earlier version of Robot Chicken, except aimed at children. During this block, there were animated segments that were not part of the actual episodes. And since Kablam itself has a complicated history with preservation, given that the skits within were produced by different studios, which complicated any and all plans of official releases, the fate of 101% Whiz Bang is kind of predictable. Some of the shorts have been uploaded to YouTube, but there are known to be 4 that are nowhere to be found. Crazy Slug. Crazy Slug was a top-down perspective shooter game developed in China and released in Southeast Asia. Vietnam specifically was the most notable in its release, and the game was most popular over there. It functioned as a pretty standard shooter game with a distinct art style that set it apart from others. The timeline on when the game became unavailable isn't clear-cut, but it's believed to have gone offline sometime in the summer of 2010 after betas were playable. There isn't much info on the game available, though it can be surmised that the Chinese government bans had something to do with the game being unavailable, which is why the game is lost today. Gekum. With a title that translates as Dog Dream, this was an animated short developed in Korea in 1936, being either the first or at least one of the first Korean animations ever made. There isn't a lot that's known about this short. We know it stars a dog as the main character, and that it's about 3 minutes in length. What's unknown about it is the release status, distribution, critical reception, what the story would have been, or even the person that made it. Obviously, the short is lost, and the only evidence of its existence is a single newspaper article from 1936 with a drawing of the protagonist.
Play Tomb Raider on Sky Active. Just press the red button now for game. Oh, go on, Lara. Touch me. I rock.
Tomb Raider Apocalypse. Developed for the Sky GameStar European TV games service and released over the course of 1 year in the early 2000s, Tomb Raider Apocalypse followed the story of Lara Croft from the Tomb Raider series of video games, trying to recover the Eye of Osiris, an object which is stated to have mythical powers. It seemed like it would have been a bit clunky, since you're controlling a Tomb Raider game with a TV remote. Since Sky GameStar was discontinued in 2015, all the games playable through the service, including Tomb Raider Apocalypse, became unplayable. It's very difficult to go back and find games like this due to the unorthodox file retrieval methods, meaning Tomb Raider Apocalypse is likely lost forever.
Paul?
Hey, boys, you ordered 20 tons of building material.
We sure did.
Okay, sign here. I thought I had a pen here somewhere.
No problem. I'll just use the pen you left here yesterday. Ferb and I modified it so you won't lose it again.
What'd you guys do, install a homing sensor?
Actually, we just put a clip on it.
Cool.
Phineas and Ferb Delivery of Destiny. It doesn't happen often, but in one case, a Phineas and Ferb episode was recorded with 2 different voices for a character in different markets. Paul the Delivery Guy was a character in the episode voiced by Simon Pegg in the British market, and Christian Slater in the American market. And for a while, the Simon Pegg version of the episode was lost, as Disney Channel and Disney XD in the UK ceased to exist. On streaming services, the episode available is just the American version, and that's the way it was when I talked about it in episode 45. But it was recently found by Charter School Girl, the same person that found the Shooting Star Milkshake Bar song. So now, if you ever wanted to watch this alternate version of a Phineas and Ferb episode, you can do that. McDonald's Mario browser games. In 2006, a set of Happy Meal toys was distributed at McDonald's, with that set being Mario, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong. This was part of an ad campaign about taking the Mario Challenge, which was in an effort to get kids to be more active. But, interestingly linked to those Happy Meal toys was something that completely defeated that purpose. They would be Jammin' with Mario and Mario's Driving Range, browser games played on McDonald's website. The former being a rhythm game and the latter being a golf game. The titles of these games exist in screenshot form, and exactly one screenshot of the golf game exists. The actual games themselves are lost. The Greek Gospel of the Egyptians. In Christianity's early history, there was a lot of competing ideas for how it should continue. A notable sect in the early days was Gnosticism, which is basically an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of sects from that time. Generally, these Gnostic sects were heretical because of a disbelief in the death of Christ, which is obviously against one of the core tenets of Christian faith. Because of these weird religious offshoots, sometimes their writings would be just as eccentric as the things they believed, and from this comes an interesting piece of lost media. From the 2nd century AD, and I'm attempting to condense this as much as possible, but I could make an entire video about just this, this writing circulated and was very controversial among Christian scholars. Its content that we know of is about humanity wholly abstaining from sex. But since early Christian leaders burned heretical books, this one was included in those burnings, resulting in it becoming lost. We can find hints and clues as to its content from early Christian scholars such as Clement of Alexandria and Hippolytus, as those two specifically are known to have written texts refuting the Greek Gospel of the Egyptians. One thing to note is that since it's been so long since a text version has been available, it's not really known if this is a standalone work, or if it was part of something larger, or even if it was sourced from something else, i.e. not original. Those are questions that are very unlikely to be answered, as it has been lost for some time and will remain that way.